Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. This is going to be a chatty video giving updates on our hopefully successful move to the US. Got myself a delicious iced coffee, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. It's a beautiful sunny morning here in the UK, and I think temperatures are set to go to 27 degrees today, which is going to be tough considering we have no aircon in our homes and bits like that. But anyway, moan over. Okay, so I thought today we'd have a nice sit down chatty video. I'm going to give you updates on where we're at with moving to Florida, our house, all those sorts of bits. If you are new here, I will just give a bit of a backstory because I don't want you clicking on thinking, what is she going on about? So basically, we are a family that has been traveling to and from Florida for over 20 years, and we just absolutely love it there. Yeah, and it just got to the point where holiday just doesn't feel enough. Whenever we were going, I felt like I was returning home. Whenever I was leaving, I became really down, so did my daughter. And then conversations started. Mainly, I'd say my youngest daughter's pushed this move, which probably might surprise a lot of you. I've had the odd comment thinking that it's my husband, like pushing me into this. Absolutely not. I am my own person, and without sounding horrible, I would say I wear the trousers in this house. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I'd say it was me and my youngest daughter fueling this move. And then I've had lots of wobblies along the way, but she's just remained consistent and is absolutely desperate to move. My husband would kind of go wherever makes me and the kids happy. But actually, over time, since we've started this move, he has wanted this move probably at times more than me. When I've been having my wobblies, he really wants to go now. And there's lots of different reasons. My husband turned 50 last year. I'm 47. Life is for living. I lost my dad, it'll be 4 years this May, and it gave me such a massive wake-up call for my life. My dad was only in his, I think, early 70s. I don't know, maybe 71, 72. My mum will know. She'll probably be watching this. Yeah, and my dad was a very young 70-year-old. You know, when I was growing up and I had my grandparents, 70 seemed like ancient. And I think, you know, my gran was the little old lady with the grey permed hair, and she just looked older than what she probably was. Whereas my dad just always seemed really youthful. Obviously, my husband's 50, and it gives you the realization check that actually, you know, that's only 20 years away, and life is for living. And when you lose a loved one that you absolutely adore, it makes you really evaluate your life, which might sound really dramatic, and maybe some of you have lost a loved one and haven't felt this, but I definitely did. I evaluated my whole life, not intentionally. You know, it's not something I sat down and thought to myself, right, let's evaluate my life. It was all of these things just kind of came to me naturally. And yeah, life is for living. I think that's kind of a lot that's made me want to do this move, that I feel I would prefer to regret having done it than not to have done it. So yeah, so there was that kind of gave me the big sort of realization and where I wanted my life to be. And then the more we started discussing it as a family, it was just, yeah, we want to do this. And then we put a house on the market, which was back, I think, September, October time. Put it on with an agent and we didn't have one single viewing. Now, this particular agency deals with multi-million pound homes. Ours is not multi-million pound homes. It's not even £1 million home. And I genuinely believe that we were almost like at the end of the food chain, if you call it that. I think maybe a lot of their focus goes into their higher value homes, which I get, because compensation. What's it called? What is it called? Concession? No. Basically what you get as a percentage if you sell a house is completely gone out of my mind. And I'm presuming you're going to get a lot more on a couple of £1 million homes. But I think that's a little bit naughty that you neglect the ones down the bottom of the food chain, if you want to call it that. I don't think that's right. And I genuinely feel that that is what happened with our home. We didn't have one viewing. I gave 28 days notice, and then within 48 hours our house had sold. And 48 hours that was somebody coming to view, negotiating the price to it being sold, 48 hours. So I don't feel like I've got any regrets. The fact that obviously this move could have happened sooner, because I genuinely believe that everything happens in life for a reason, and our house wasn't meant to sell to that agency and at that time. And actually our estate agent fees now are way less than what they would have been. So again, that happens for a reason. So yeah, house is sold. So we are doing things very differently probably to what most people would. I'm not saying that nobody has ever done this. So we are applying for an E2 visa. So an E2 visa, if you don't know, is basically where you are buying into an American business. You are aiding to their economy. You also have to hire so many Americans and be paying them a wage. That is part of an E2. And also an E2 is granted for 5 years. And in those 5 years, you have to have shown growth within that business. So it's not like we can just buy a business and dawdle along and, you know, take it at a slow pace. The business will need to grow. So we have hired a guy to sort out our visas. Now, he is not an immigration lawyer. Cut a long story short, again, I believe everything happens for a reason. Not our last trip to Florida, but the one before that, we were staying in a villa. In the morning, I'd gone off to meet my friend Katie at Katie's Florida Life, and my husband had gone to the gym. Me and Katie were still chatting. We chatted for hours. She gave me a lift back. My husband went to the gym, went back to the villa. He pulled up at the villa and there was a car on the drive, and instantly panicked, because my daughter, her friend who went on holiday with us for those 4 weeks, and my son were all in the villa. And my husband went to the front door and it was like a glass panel, and he could see a man stood in our living area. So he went in and he was like, are you all right, mate? Because he didn't really know how to approach the situation. Obviously there's guns in America. And he was like, yeah, I've come to fix so-and-so. And Jonah was like, I think you might have the wrong property. And he was like, no. And Jonah was like, yeah, you've got the wrong house. So basically he was a maintenance guy. He did do maintenance for that property, hence why he managed to let himself in with the PIN code. But he wasn't meant to be doing our property. Anyway, he was British, and he was so apologetic, and he was just like, oh my God, I am so glad that it was you guys, because if it had been Americans, I probably would have had a gun pulled out on me. Anyway, Jonah got chatting to him. I'm not sure if he was from Wales. And yeah, Jonah chatting to him, mentioned that we were desperate to move. And the guy gave us a contact number of another British guy that he knows that deals and helps with people's visas. It's a legit company. The reviews are like 5-star. They are amazing reviews. And it is literally a tiny percentage of what an immigration lawyer would charge. So an immigration lawyer probably looking around £30,000. We are paying, I think it's £2,999, and that is for however many people. So it's the same price if it's one person, it's the same price if it's 10 people. It's a set fee. And we're using him. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he has been searching for a business for us. So originally, back a couple of years ago, we were thinking a poor business because we couldn't really think of what to go into. He advised us not to go for that because he said it's very cutthroat and actually it doesn't pay that well, and your overheads are quite a lot with all the chemicals and things like that. And there would be servicing of pools, which we would have to obviously learn, and it's out in potentially high heats, although whenever we've been to a villa they tend to do it early in the morning, obviously to avoid the heat, which is good. I'm just going to sit on a pillow. Actually, I feel like I'm really low down. Just boost myself up, give myself like a booster seat. That's a bit better. He suggested a cleaning business. I've got no qualms about cleaning. I'm a bit of a clean freak, although I may not be a tidy freak at the moment, but I will explain why everything looks like that. I'm a bit of a clean freak. Obviously, it's cleaning air-conditioned properties, so I'm not going to be sweating my backside off. And the end goal would be to not be working and having staff working for us once the business has grown. So he's been keeping an eye out for a business. He thinks he's found one. And he's just a lovely guy. So from him, we then got given another contact number of another British guy that lives out in America that will be sorting out like health insurance. Well, in fact, he specialises in health insurance. And then within his company, they do car insurance, home insurance, everything. So he'll be sorting out all of that out for us. And if it hadn't been for that guy stood in our villa, we wouldn't know any of this. So I do genuinely believe that everything happens for a reason. So in order to have an E2 visa, you have to obviously invest in a property. Now, apparently there are no minimum amounts. Sorry, that's the washing machine. But he says there is like this magic number, which you obviously need to hit and have a better chance. So we don't have any money like that. So the only way of doing it was selling our house, vacating our house to free up the equity in this house. And in order for an E2 visa, it has to be organic money. It can't be like a loan or anything like that. So a house obviously sold. We spoke to the agent last week who confirmed that we're going to be vacating or looking to vacate this house a lot sooner than what he had kind of said. I'm hoping he's correct because we're basing everything on that now. We have pushed it back a bit to the end of June because my daughter will be taking her GCSEs throughout May and June, and we didn't want any craziness. She needs stability. She needs revision time, not removal time. And so we're now looking at the end of June. We can then put in for our E2 visa. Our money that we are investing into that property is completely safe because it will be going into escrow. I didn't ever know about escrow, but escrow is where it's being held almost like by a solicitor, and it's safe. So if you get granted the E2 visa, that money goes through to the business. If you don't get an E2 visa, then the money comes back to us. We will have to pay for it to go into escrow, which I think is a small amount. I don't know what, but we can't lose that kind of money. So as soon as we move out of here, our guy will be sorting out our E2 visa. At the moment, it's taken around 3 months. So we will be looking at end of September, I think, beginning of October, hopefully, if we get our visas. I don't know why I feel really panicky about the visa part, whereas my husband's like really chilled out and he's like, yeah, I've got a good feeling we'll get it. And I'm just like, oh my God, like panic. So yeah, that's the whole bit around the visa part. We have been looking at houses continuously now, but I think for us, I think we've worked out that a house that's already built is going to be our best bet. It's going to be the most achievable we can get for our money and probably get the most discount off, rather than a home that gets built from scratch. So I think we will be buying a house that's already built. There is a house that we have seen that we have been told we can put an offer in, which would be extremely less than what it's on for. But it was an ex-show home. It's been there for 2 years. It's fully furnished. So it would mean that we would have to maybe, I don't know, not take as much stuff. I don't know. But obviously we can't do anything about that until we know we've got an E2 visa. So yeah, that's a bit of background, which I hope hasn't bored anybody, because I know that regulars who watch my channel would have known all that, but maybe you quite liked a recap, I don't know. So anyway, we are thick in clearing out mode at the moment. Obviously we are now, well, May, and we're looking at the end of June. So there's a lot to do. We've sold quite a lot actually on Facebook. The dining table behind, that's had a deposit on it, and I think they're coming the 10th of May to pick that up. Sold quite a few other bits of furniture. So yeah, we've been selling quite a bit. My daughter's been putting loads of like clothes and my husband's clothes on Vinted. I do have a Vinted account. There isn't loads on there at the moment, but I do need to get my butt in gear because I've got so much to go on there. I will leave my, in fact, I was going to say I'll leave my Vinted link below. I will if I can. I'm sure I'll figure it out because I've done it before. But actually, if you go onto my page, my YouTube main page, in the information section, there is actually a Vinted link there. I linked it ages ago, so just keep an eye out because I will be posting like loads of bits on there. We've got Skip at the moment. That was not bloody cheap. I'd say it's probably about quarter full at the moment. I went out there the other day and just was ruthless in the garage. Still need to do the loft. The problem is with the loft is that I went up there before we were kind of getting this heat wave, and I probably managed, I don't know, an hour to an hour and a half, and I was absolutely sweltering. So kind of need this heat to go for me to go back up there again. But yeah, I need to go through all of that. I also went to a place called Cash for Clothes. I think they're all around the UK. I probably took, I don't know, 12 bags of clothes. I only got £10 for it, but we completely cleared the loft of any old clothes that were up there. Why? Just been up there for like years and years. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we've got rid of shed loads of clothes. We're also going to do a car boot. So we were going to do one this Sunday, but the car boot we normally go to, for some reason is closed at the moment. And then there's another one we're going to do, but didn't actually realise that it's only Saturdays. And I work every Saturday, but I'm actually off work from, that sun's now creeping down and I'm going to be blinded. Oh my God, what was I saying? Yes, from today is, what day is today? Thursday. I'm working Saturday this week, then I've got Sunday, Monday off. And then next week I'm off from Saturday for 10 days. So I have actually booked a little trip away, and it's actually just for me and my husband. If you watch me regularly, you'll see that a few years ago we went to Corfu, just the two of us. First holiday ever in our like married lives, and we've been married like a long time. Been together since 2001, so a long time. And things have been really, really stressful just recently. Like, not as in that we're arguing loads. I think we've both been at like different paces. So there's been some times where my husband, I swear he's ADHD. He sometimes like has almost like verbal diarrhea, and he just offloads everything that's on his mind, which is normally quite chaotic. But then that causes a lot of stress for me, because the way he delivers his offload is very stressful. And then I was going through this whole stage for, I don't know, probably a couple of weeks, where I just shut down and didn't want to discuss anything. And obviously he was wanting to discuss things and I wasn't. So it got to a point where we just agreed that we just wouldn't talk about it, because every time we did, it just ended up in a heated discussion. We're both past that now. Effing's fine. But our major stress now is obviously finding somewhere to live from here, which I still haven't done. I'm looking daily. There is a property I'm looking at in Worcester, which that it isn't great. It'd be a 45-minute commute to Cheltenham every day, and it's probably, I don't know, over an hour back like this end. So it's not great, but we're obviously moving, and it's like 6-week holidays, which, you know, I'm not wanting to go in an Airbnb or an open rent for a vacation. It's just somewhere to live, but I'm sure everything will work its way out. But at the moment, that feels incredibly stressful. So yeah, it has been a really stressful time, and also like a family bonding time. But then with that, has almost felt a little bit like, not suffocating, that's the wrong word, I don't really know how to describe it, but basically most nights both kids will come in our room and we'll just watch videos on houses for sale in Florida, looking at different models and styles and things, which I've loved that time. But there literally has been no us time for me and my husband for what feels like months and months and months. And we're both so tired. We don't even like watch a movie or anything anymore. Maybe an hour series or something. There literally has been no time. It's just felt really, really intense. So I worked my absolute ass off the last couple of months, and we've obviously sold loads of stuff. Shouldn't really be going on holiday, but I really feel that me and my husband need it, and I feel like I need some headspace, just like time to think. Not think as in, are we doing the right thing, that kind of thing, just my own headspace. Like, I literally have no me time. I'm either at work, or when I'm not at work, I'm here, I'm doing housework, sorting, thinking about houses, thinking about where we're going to live. Like, my brain is just chock-a-block at the moment, and I just feel like I need some breathing space. So I only asked for so many days off, but I've actually been given, with my days off, it's worked out to be about 10 days off. And we're away for, I think it's 4 nights, but 5 full days due to our flights, which got an early morning flight out, and then we've got a late flight back in. So technically like 5 full days, which is lovely. And we are actually going to Corfu again. I didn't look for Corfu, it was just anywhere cheap. We're not staying in some plush hotel, anything like that. It's just a cheap and cheery family-owned apartment. And I actually just quite looking forward to going to, I don't know, like a nice kind of taverna or somewhere like that, you know, trying local foods, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. So yeah, we're going on that holiday very soon, and it'd just be nice for the two of us. And I really think we need it at the moment. And I think that's really good in life, in a relationship, if you are aware that you need to take time for yourselves, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. I think it's really good. And it's not, you know, please don't think that this is, I'm talking because this is driving me and my husband apart. It's nothing like that. We're very strong with things like that. And we work with each other, not against each other. We're in this together. We're in it as a family. But we are still only human. Like, we need time as a couple, and we don't get it. So a little refresh, and I think we'll both feel hopefully better about everything, and feel like, I'm hoping, like on top of the world, like I can conquer anything, hopefully. And obviously a bit of sunshine always helps as well, and relaxation. So I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, obviously we're looking at moving out of here at the end of June. And then I mainly have been looking at open rent. Airbnb seems to be extortionate. Open rent, if you've not heard of it, I only found it actually so many weeks ago. It's kind of like an in-between of Airbnb and renting. So it's designed for like short-term rent. Most of them on there between like maximum of between 1 and 3 months, but obviously you can do any period at all. And it does seem to be a little bit cheaper. Oh my gosh, the washing machine again. I am sorry if that's really annoying. But it's a beautiful day. I'm actually off out with my daughter today for the whole day. We're going to Bicester Village. She needs to return her Uggs because they faded in places, like sun bleached, which isn't great. I thought, you know what? We're going to have a nice look round. It is all outdoor and it's meant to be 27 today, so I am dreading that. But I have got a nice summer dress on, one of my favourites actually. I bought this in America and I love this dress. Any summer holiday always comes with me. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying, I'm so sorry. Hopefully it's not as loud on camera as what it sounds to me, I hope not. But nothing is ever easy, and it does. I sent a message to my husband yesterday because something else cropped up, and I just put, all of these things are just like testing us. That's the way you've got to look at it. Hang on, let me shut the utility door. It might make a difference. Okay, I don't think it's made much of a difference. Let's open the door. Jasper! I think it's made a bit of a difference, a bit. Honestly, I literally have a brain of a goldfish. I think I do a lap and everything has vacated my brain. Yes, I know where I was. So I was saying that everything is like meant to test us. So obviously we're looking at homes. I've only found one that has car charging, one, and nowhere else does. Now you can obviously, I say obviously, you may not know this, but you can get a lead that runs from your car to a normal like indoor plug. Then I started Googling yesterday, and it was like, oh, you've got to be really careful of like overheating. And then it's saying a full charge on a car would take around 24 hours. And I was like, oh my God. So that is now another stress because I've got my electric car and I need to charge it. I don't know. I keep thinking, trust the process, and everything will work out, and I'm sure it will, but it just feels like one thing after the other, and it feels intense and a lot. So when we vacate here about 2-3 days, probably about 3 days before we vacate actually. Over a 2-day period, an international removals company will come and box up everything within our home. They do all of it, dismantling furniture and things like that, because of the customs regulations. Everything has to be accounted for, so there'll be an inventory for everything. And I'm just like, yeah, crack on. I can't think of anything better than somebody coming in here and boxing everything up. So we should have 1 day without any of our stuff. So I don't know how that's going to work, because we'll need beds to sleep on. I don't know how that's going to work actually. I mean, we'll probably still have things like a kettle, because I can't take it to America. So probably we'll have things like this. But at the moment we have got one airbed out in the garage, which I don't even know is okay. So we might have to buy some air beds, and maybe we might need them the other end, so they might come in handy. Yeah, they would do that about 3 days before, which would take 2 days, and then we've got a day before we move out where we can just completely clean this place and it's all ready to go. And then it would just be really easy the next morning to get up. You haven't got that rush of having to be out by, it's normally like 12, isn't it? 12, 1 o'clock. And then hopefully we won't be moving out of here until we have found somewhere. So we'll then move into somewhere temporary for around 3 months. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the visa will only take that length of time. If it takes less than that, oh my gosh, it'd be amazing. So that's where we're at the moment. Like I said, it's just about clearing, skipping, selling, all those things. But in that kind of whole process, the house is looking pretty crazy at the moment, and it is stressing me out, to be honest, because it just looks chaotic. And there's certain like bits of furniture that either haven't sold on Facebook or haven't put on yet. It just looks a tip, and we just need to get rid, really, so that this place doesn't look as bad as what it does, because I can start to feel really, really overwhelmed when the house becomes really messy. So, another thing that we have done, I haven't done it yet, but my husband and my daughter have done it. So they have filled a suitcase with clothing items that they're prepared to not wear until we live in Florida. I have started mine, but I've actually vacuum packed some of mine. Now, I don't know when they come to pack up our house whether they will want to see the contents of the suitcase. It's absolutely fine if they do. Obviously some of mine are in vacuum packs, so they might want to take it out of the vacuum packs. But I just thought by putting in a vacuum pack, it's going to take up less space in the suitcase. My husband and my daughter have already done that, and they're now being stored in the garage. My husband sold practically everything of his gym equipment in the garage, and I walked in there the other day to sort through the garage. I was like, oh my god, this is what it feels like to have a garage, because it's just been a gym ever since we moved in, and the amount of times I've tripped over equipment, this giant rack thing in the middle of the garage, driven me absolutely crazy. But now you go in there and it's actually a garage. It's so nice. But yes, we've had the skip now. I think it's coming up to a week. They said normally it's around 2, but it can be longer. I think it's gonna be longer than 2. We're doing a car boot next Saturday, like I said, on my day off. And I think whatever doesn't sell, I think I'm just gonna skip, because I just can't be doing with it. I haven't got time to put every single thing on Facebook, and oh my gosh, I have dealt with some absolute idiots on Facebook. And a lot of it, I don't know if it's like scamming stuff, because normal scamming is where they say they want to buy it, and then something to do with, can they send a courier to collect it? That's the classic. But I haven't had that. But I've had lots of people that I've just thought, I don't know, I feel like it's been a bit of a scam. So anyway, I haven't even engaged in those conversations. But yeah, just so many people. I just don't get it. Like, they send you a message, yes please, no message again after that. And then I'm like, yeah, would you like to buy? No message. So why have you put yes please? I don't get it. I do not get it. I do find Facebook selling hugely frustrating. But anyway, so that is where we are at the moment. And I hope you've enjoyed this update. I do feel like, you know, things are really starting to move now, which is, you know, amazing. There's been lots of times where you have these mini meltdowns, you're literally crapping your pants because potentially we could move out of here, not get our visas, and we've lost our house. But we always knew that was the case. But I think when it's starting to get close to that, it's like realization has hit. And we do have a beautiful home. But we always knew this was going to be the case, sadly. And you don't get anywhere in life unless you take risks. And I think I mentioned, I don't know, a couple of videos ago, I think I did, I'm not sure, but I'll say it again. And I don't even know who said it to me, but somebody said to me, you don't get to sip champagne without taking risks. And it's really stuck in my head ever since. And it's true. Sometimes you've got to take risks in life, haven't you? But yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this update. I will obviously continue to give you updates and let you know. And I really hope you've enjoyed a chatty video. It's beautiful weather at the moment. And I'm going to enjoy spending the rest of the day with my daughter. If you aren't already subscribed and you would like to stick around, see our journey moving to the US, hopefully, yeah, there is a little sub button below. And if you could give this a thumbs up, just let me know. It tells me whether you've enjoyed this type of video or not. Until next time, take care everyone, and I'll see you really soon in my next video. Bye from sunny England. Bye.